Go ahead and open up your History Interactive Notebook in the classwork side of your Google Classroom. If you want, you can pause here while you get that open. However, I'm going to start scrolling to our page. We are going to be working on page 33, which is called Indus Valley Civilization. Now, in class, we went through the 4 things that the Indus Valley created after process of elimination. So they created the water wheel, which is the falling of gravity put on water will turn a wheel and create power. Toilets, let's hope you know what those are. A standard weight system or measuring system, and sewage, so the ability to take dirty and unclean water and waste and move it away from the area so it is not staying in one area. So we're going to zoom into the left-hand side. A citadel, which is a fortress that overlooks the city, on each city's highest point protected its most important buildings, like the grain storage houses. These cities had advanced drainage systems. They were public wells, and many buildings had a bathroom. This is a really great new invention. Trade was prosperous, which means it was really good and it was helpful and aiding both who participated. Copper and lumber, which is wood, were the main exports. They traded with Sumer, and similarities in art suggested the 2 cultures mimicked each other's best work. Around 2000 BCE, the Indus Valley farmers began to abandon their land, maybe because of natural disasters and invasion by nomads. Around 1500 BCE, Aryans moved in from Central Asia and mixed up the original inhabitants of the Indus Valley, creating a new culture that eventually spread into the Ganges Valley, located to the east. Around 1550 BCE, a system of writing called Sanskrit was developed in India. The oldest text in the language is the Rig Veda, an ancient religious document from the northern Midlands of India. While Sanskrit is no longer spoken by many people, Dravidian, an ancient relation of Sanskrit, is still spoken in southern India. So let us go ahead and start on our News ELA, because the instructions do say, read this News ELA article on the Indus Valley culture. After you have successfully answered 75% correct, or a 3 out of 4, then you may place the inventions the Mesopotamians created in the box. Finally, infer what might have happened to the Harappan people and what their society helps you with that inference. So let's go ahead and click on the News ELA article. Now, if you are following along, I am on going to switch it to the 810 Lexile level. In the 1920s, there was a huge discovery around the Indus River. Its water runs through the countries of Pakistan and Western India. Deep underground in the Indus Valley, archaeologists found the remains of a city. They believe it was 4,600 years old. A thriving civilization had existed here. That's like you going out and digging in the backyard and finding a whole city. It's crazy to think about. Historians have studied ancient cultures like this before. Much has been written about the people of Egypt and Mesopotamia, who lived thousands of years ago in North Africa and the Middle East. However, the people of this Indus Valley civilization were different, sharing resources among all. Egyptians built huge structures like the pyramids. When someone rich and royal died, Egyptians sometimes buried that person inside the pyramid with many treasures. That's a little known fact, that the pyramids are actually like tombstones or burial chambers for the dead. Now, a lot of it is going to be not filled, and it's going to be booby trapped so that people wouldn't steal it. Because the pyramids are filled with all of the gold and prized possessions of the pharaohs buried there. But there's only like a handful of pharaohs buried in each pyramid. So we have these rich royal Egyptians, while they're alive, forcing people to build them their tomb. However, the Indus people seem to care more about the common people. They spent their money on the people who were living and in greater need. They believed resources and riches should be shared among living people rather than on display or buried underground. I always say if you found money on the side of the road, would you buy yourself a pair of Yeezys, or would you buy food for the week? The Egyptians are going to be decked out in Yeezy, while the Indus Valley is going to have a full belly. The Indus Valley civilization also appeared to have been peaceful. Very few weapons have been found. No evidence of an army has been discovered. Keep in mind, we learned before that the Indus Valley civilization had 5 million people, and very few weapons had been found between them. Human bones that were discovered showed no signs of violence, and leftover buildings show no hints of a battle. So how did such a peaceful civilization become so successful? The two twin ancient cities of Harappa and Mohenjo were found in Pakistan. Those are the two cities we put on our map before. These have revealed great clues to this mystery. For many years, historians have been interested in Mesopotamia's cuneiform, a form of written language carved into clay and stone. Cuneiform looks like tiny lines and triangles, but it is not just Mesopotamians who were writing. It looks like Indus Valley citizens were writing too. The first artifact uncovered in Harappa was a stone piece with a carving of a unicorn. It's shown on the right-hand side. We'll say they haven't seen a unicorn, and that's why it looks that way. Similar pieces with different animal symbols and writings have since been found. It could mean that the Indus people had a complicated language system. Archaeologists also found the city buildings across the valley. The findings clearly show that the Indus Valley societies were well organized and very clean. The sediments were built on giant raised platforms. These appeared to protect the city from floods. That's something super simple, but it's super smart. Just think of going down a hill. If you roll, you go faster and you don't stay on top. The water wouldn't settle on their ground and they wouldn't be flooded because they would build their city on a high point, which we learned is a citadel. Is the most important, would be the highest. Streets were laid out in neat, straight patterns on these platforms. The city had many brick houses with areas to bathe. These took in with water from neighborhood wells. Drain systems throughout the city carried dirty water outside of the buildings. Even the smallest houses on the edges of town were connected to the system. Keeping clean was clearly important to them. This is crazy, especially when you consider that during CE, current era, we did not have plumbing systems during the Dark Ages, which caused the bubonic plague. For a good portion of our history as humans, we did not bathe for extended periods. In the Indus Valley, Even if you were the richest person or the poorest person, you had a bath in your personal house, which is crazy. The fall of Harappan culture. These cities were impressively made. The remains of their walls give us clues about what the Indus Valley people cared about. Clay figurines of goddesses were found, which means they were polytheistic, belief in more than one god, and are proof that religion was important. Toys and games were discovered, showing that even in 3000 BCE, kids liked to play. Pottery, textiles, and beads showed their skilled craftsmanship and desire to trade. It was this appreciation for craftsmanship and trade that allowed the Indus Valley culture to spread widely and grow. Each time goods were traded or neighbors entered the cities, their ideas spread. However, around 1900 BCE, this growth ended. The group unity collapsed. Soon, the civilization split up into smaller cultures. Trade, writing, and seals ended. Many believe that the Indus Valley civilization was attacked and overthrown by Aryan people from the north. This idea makes sense. The Aryans came to power in the Ganges Valley shortly after this. However, there is little proof of any attack from the Aryans. Nature changed around them. Many historians believe that natural events destroyed the Indus Valley people. They say that changing river patterns disrupted the farming and trading systems and led to devastating floods. I always think it doesn't seem like a big idea, the changing of a river pattern. But think of all of a sudden, on the snap of a finger, you were supposed to drive on the left side of the road. That would really mess up with a lot of people who are used to driving on the right side of the road, and you would get a whole bunch of crashes. The smaller details of the early Indus Valley culture might never be fully known. Still, many pieces of the ancient puzzle have been put together. The remains of the Indus Valley cities continue to be unearthed and discussed today. With each new artifact, the story of this world becomes clearer and more interesting. So go ahead and take a quiz on that, and we are going to write a race response to what you think happened to the Harappan people. The two options that the story went through is either natural events such as monsoons and rivers changing, which led to flooding and all that, or you have the Aryan people from the north moved in and took over. So go ahead and write your race response there. Make sure you quote the News ELA article for your citing. That's what the second part of it that says, and what about their society helped you with that inference? Go ahead and back yourself up in this box below. Hopefully that answered some of your questions and you got a few of that done. I'll see you later.